Good morning, agents, and welcome to another daily episode of Targeted Loot today for Thursday, December 10th. In this series, we cover a lot from the Targeted Loot map to DZ exclusives you can farm for, highlights for the weekly vendor resets, build and farming suggestions, and much more. I'm Shadow Gaming, and if you enjoy this video, consider pressing the subscribe and like buttons below, and remember to comment below as well if you have any questions. Otherwise, let's get this video started. Alright, agents, starting off with the Dark Zones and vendor reset highlights, which are always in the bottom left overlay. I want to get started with the Chain Killer chest piece at the clan. It's rolled with weapon damage, weapon handling, and headshot damage, and I think it's highly worth grabbing up. And the only other thing I would really recommend is in DZ West. You can pick up the Harmony with Perfectly in Sync for 152 DZ resources. I would re-roll that rate of fire for 10% damage targets out of cover and definitely pick that thing up. Alright guys, so for the targeted loot that you could farm for, DZ West, Providence Defense, of course you could farm the gift with Perfect Vigilance. It's definitely worth picking up, although it doesn't give you any additional damage boost. It does give you Vigilance for 3 seconds instead of 4 seconds when the buff goes away. Next up in DZ South, we got the new Rigger gear set, which would be worth farming for, but I would probably just farm it on Summit, where you pick your own targeted loot, because the DZ kind of doesn't really have good loot quality. Even with gear sets, I really wouldn't bother picking it up. Although this is going to drop with a plus skill tier, which doesn't really matter. It's up to you guys if you want to farm it in the DZ or Summit today, or just wait for it to rotate into the DC or NYC areas. And then of course, last up in DZ East, we do have rifles, and there's 3 rifles that are DZ exclusives: the Harmony with Perfect in Sync, the Virginian with Perfect Boomerang, and the Everlasting Gaze with Perfect Perpetuation. I highly recommend probably picking up all 3 of them, farming for all 3 of them, but the Harmony and the Virginian are definitely just amazing rifles for whatever they're used for. The Virginian would be for DPS builds, and the Harmony would be for mostly skill builds. Alright guys, let's go check out what we got on the north side now. Alright agents, now we're over here in the north side targeted loot highlights, and remember I wanted to let you guys know Grand Washington Hotel is invaded this week, so if you need to get that Puck's blueprint for the Nemesis to craft it over here at the White House, I would definitely recommend running this mission. Now remember, you can hold down the mission settings and go to toggle mission mode, and it will change it to invaded after you've run it and it becomes a normal mission again, so that way you can keep running it on invaded. Anyway guys, back to the normal targeted loot up at the north side. We do got chest pieces at Camp White Oak. What I always recommend you guys try to get is the Tardigrade exotic and the Ridgeway's Pride if you're trying to refarm for it. Of course, you do need to complete, floor 100 on Summit to get the project, and then complete the project to get the Ridgeway's Pride. If you're farming with someone else and they already have it, they can drop it for you. Otherwise, we also got Overlord over here at Coney Island Ballpark. You can farm for the Fox's Prayer knee pads with 8% damage targets out of cover. Highly worth farming for, whether it's a rifle build or not, because that damage targets out of cover is a lot of DPS. Next up, we got Future Initiative at Coney Island Amusement Park. Great healer build for sure, but remember the chest and backpack are raid exclusive, so you cannot get them to drop outside of the Iron Horse raid. So in lieu of that, I would get an Alp Summit chest piece with 4 pieces of, Future Initiative, and get that Alp Summit chest piece with Empathetic Resolve, and another Alp Summit backpack with Safeguard. Alright guys, and last but not least, we got Socolo Concern at Manny National Zoo. Now, you want this with weapon damage, crit hit chance, and crit hit damage. That's what Socolo Concern is all about. And for the best talents on a chest and backpack, I would say Obliterate, Glass Cannon, and then of course Intimidate are going to be your best chest talents. And then for your backpack, for sure Adrenaline Rush for Vigilance. And then Kenley College is open for another 4 days. And Summit, you pick your own targeted loot, which I'm doing Empress right now for a new build video. So anyway, let's go check out what we got on the west side. Alright agents, now we're over here on the west side targeted loot highlights, starting off with the gear sets first. Hunter's Fury at the Pentagon. We got this for SMG and shotgun damage builds, and it's definitely worth it for SMG shotgun face tanking as well in heroic solo missions. Now you can use this gear set in group, but I would highly recommend it solo, and I'll put my favorite build in the top right card now. 4 pieces of Hunter's Fury, the Death Grip gloves for an extra 10% armor on kill, the Memento backpack, and remember 3 armor cores for weapon damage cores, and 1 skill tier from the Memento backpack. Next up, we got Aces and Eights over here at West Atomic Park. Now this is a great headshot damage build. I mixed 3 pieces of Aces and Eights, 2 pieces of Aralda Holding, And of course, one of those is a backpack with vigilance or composure, and the chain killer chest piece with perfect headhunter for a great headshot damage build that I used with the mantis for getting over 20 million a headshot. Next up, we got ongoing directive at Lincoln Memorial. This is a great bleed damage build, but remember, things have changed since TU12 dropped, with the Eclipse Protocol backpack being quote unquote fixed. So what I would do in lieu of that is get 4 pieces of ongoing directive, the Ridgeway's Pride, and now run the Anarchist Cookbook with perfect wicked on it, and that's going to be a decent replacement, or really the only replacement you can do for the Eclipse Protocol backpack. And then last, what seems to be last, we got Tip of the Spirit Constitutional Hull. Now this just increases spec weapon damage. I never really recommend it. It's really niche in raid and legendary missions, so I just can't really recommend it. Alright guys, now with normal targeted loot, we got masks at Tidal Baits and Strongholds. So of course there's 2 exotic masks you can farm for. For DPS, you're going to want Coyote's Mask and Vile Mask for your status effects and skill damage builds. Now of course you can also get the Punch Drunk Mask with 20% headshot damage baked in for your high-end headshot damage builds, and you can also farm Douglas and Harding today at Federal Emergency Bunker for, a better shot at getting it than masks. Next up, we got Walker Harrison Co. with DCDHQ. Now this is where you can farm for that chain killer chest piece with perfect headhunter on it, although I highly just recommend picking it up from the clan vendor. You got shotguns at Bank HQ. Now you can get the Sweet Dreams exotic shotgun with the Sandman talent. You can just melee kill, red and purple barred enemies in one shot every 15 seconds. But what I would really highly recommend is the 3 best shotguns in the game: the Mop with 10% armor on kill, the Custom M870, and the Marine Super 90 with close and personal rolled on them. Next up, we got Badger Tough at the White House. Now this is where you can farm for the 0F's chest piece with perfect unbreakable. Now every 55 seconds that your armor breaks, you repair 100% of it. It's pretty good for DPS builds, and I'll put my Shredder build in the top right card now if you're interested in utilizing the unbreakable chest piece in a DPS hybrid. Alright agents, next up we got assault rifles at Potomac Event Center. Now you can farm for the Chameleon with adaptive instincts. The Eagle Bear is something that you can't farm for outside of the Dark Hours raid. And as for the capacitor with the, perfect capacitance, or however you pronounce that, which is going to be highly recommended for skill builds for sure, you just need to complete 5 challenges on Summit before you can start refarming it with AR targeted loot. And then of course there are some named ARs that you can get. One of the new ones is the Test Subject with Perfectly in Sync, which I highly recommend getting. It's the PDR weapon class of the ARs. And then of course you got the Mechanical Animal with Future Perfection, the Burnout named FAMAS, and of course the Maniac named Military AKM. And remember that the best weapon classes of the AR group would be the FAMAS, the Military AKM, the Carbine 7, and the Police M4. And yeah guys, that's really all I recommend for the west side. Let's go check out now what we got on the east side. Alright agents, now we're on the east side, right before New York City. Getting started, we got gear sets. So we got Foundry Bulwark at Southwest area. Now this is just a mainly tank build. I really wouldn't recommend the DPS hybrid build, but it's great for just absurd amounts of damage. You can do this on legendary raids, and you basically can never die with this set. But of course you do have to be running the Bulwark shield, and remember that the chest and backpack for Foundry Bulwark, just like Future Initiative, are raid exclusive to the Iron Horse raid. Next up, we got Eclipse Protocol at Space Administration HQ. Now, my favorite fire damage build is 4 pieces of Eclipse Protocol, the Imperial Dynasty holster, and of course 1 piece of Golan gear for that extra 10% status effect, which will be in the top right card now as well. Last couple gear sets we got is True Patriot over here at East Mall. I really like all 4 of these control points you could farm, and they're all going to be under Manhunt as well. I've just completed it so far. Now, True Patriot is an absolute amazing build. I've run it with the Chameleon and with the Lady Death, and if I still have enough cards, I'll put it in the top right card now. But 4 pieces of True Patriot, the Memento backpack, and a Sokol over Fenris chest piece with Intimidate on it, depending on if you're using the Lady Death or Chameleon, is going to be something that shreds through content while you still maintain a lot of, tankiness, as well as running it in group as well. So this is an all-around amazing build, and I highly recommend farming for it. And you just need armor cores on True Patriot mixed with crit hit chance until you cap out at 60% and then go for crit hit damage. The last gear set we got is Negotiator's Dilemma at Grand Washington Hotel. I do have a double LMG build, but I'm probably out of cards since I only can have 5. So what I'd recommend is 4 pieces of Negotiator's Dilemma, Grupo Sombro gloves, and the Coyote's mask, and double LMGs, so the Pestilence and a Neg EV. And that's going to shred through content pretty nice. You are a little bit squishy since it's all DPS, but remember that it's a good crowd control build. Also, we got gear system mods at DUA today, so you can run this on Legendary and just keep running District Union Arena on Legendary over and over again if you're trying to get a God Rolled mod, which is something I'm probably going to do today after I'm done farming for some Empress for my new build video. And yeah, that's about it. I see two more things that are worth, actually three more. We got MMRs right here at Judiciary Square, so the Mantis and the Nemesis are definitely worth farming for, although the Nemesis is quest only exotic. And remember, you have to do the Grand Washington Hotel first to get that Puck's blueprint to craft it at the White House before it goes into the general loot pool. The Mantis already is. And then of course the White Death and Ekim's Longstick with Perfect Ranger are the two named MMRs I recommend farming for. Next up, we got holsters at Viewpoint Museum. Now, there's two exotic holsters you could farm for, and that's going to be the Dodge City holster for your DPS headshot damage builds, and then, of course, the Imperial Dynasty holster for your status effects and skill damage builds. Otherwise, you could farm for the Forge holster, which gives you 50% extra shield health and is worth it for all you shield build users unless you're using the claws out. Last one I see is Hana Yu over here at Capitol Building Stronghold. You can farm for the Force Multiplier backpack with perfect combined arms, and now that is going to be hands down probably the best backpack you can get in Title Update 12. With the whole new skill meta thing coming out with all these skill damage builds, everyone's going to be using that Force Multiplier backpack for that extra 30% skill damage every 3 seconds you just land a shot on an enemy. So definitely make sure you get one of those with skill haste and skill damage rolled on it, and you can roll with the rest of the builds. So now let's go check out what we got in New York City. Alright agents, now lastly over here in New York City target loot highlights. Starting off with gear sets, we only got a few, and one of them is about to get overshadowed in Title Update 12. That's going to be Hardwired, and there's one build that I could recommend to you guys, but it's not going to be that great for very long. Now it's 3 pieces of Hardwired, 2 pieces of Hana Yu, and 1 piece Wyvernware with kinetic momentum or glass cannon on your chest piece. And of course the Force Multiplier backpack with perfect combined arms for a great assault turret and striker drone build. But remember, there's a lot better ways to build this now. What I'd recommend is a couple pieces of Empress, Wyvernware, and Hana Yu with maybe the Sacrifice with perfect glass cannon as the chest piece. And that's going to be a build that's going to get you higher numbers on your turret and drone than the build I just mentioned. Next up, we got Strikers at Liberty Island. I only recommend using 3 pieces for increased rate of fire on an LMG build or, with the Merciless. But otherwise, I don't recommend ever using more than 3, and I honestly don't even use 3 pieces myself on any build except for with only the Merciless. Now next up over here in Two Bridges, we do have SMG targeted loot. Now of course there's 3 exotic SMGs you can farm for, the Backfire, the Chatterbox, and the Lady Death. Now the Chatterbox is a quest only exotic, and I would put it in the top right card if I even have any left, because I do have a guide video on that. If not, I'll put it in the pinned comment below. But otherwise, the Lady Death has a 3% drop rate chance to drop from open NYC bosses, and then of course it has a 7% chance from heroic and 5% chance of dropping on challenging. So mixing that together, you should have about a 10% chance for the Lady Death to drop in the open NYC world if you're farming the bosses in this area. Otherwise, of course, the Dark Winter and the Apartment are Dark Zone exclusives. You cannot farm for them outside of the Dark Zone unless it comes from manhunt targets or seasonal caches or targeted loot rewards. And then, of course, the named SMGs that you would want to farm for outside of the Dark Zone would be, the Safety Distance with Perfect Outsider and the Grudge with Perfect Vindictive. Both of those are definitely worth farming for. Next up, we got knee pads over here at the Tombs. Now, there's 2 exotic knee pads you can farm for. Now, that's, of course, the Sawyer's knee pads and the Ninja Bike Messenger knee pads. Ninja Bike being more for DPS builds, and also the Sawyers too, but mainly more tank and skill builds because you do a lot more sitting still unless it's somewhat of a sniper build. And the last thing we really got that I'll mention is Petrovic Financial District. You can farm the Contractor's Gloves with 8% damage to armor, which is great if you're stacking damage to armor or running it on an LMG build. But yeah, other than that, that's about it for New York City and my recommendations for the targeted loot today. Alright agents, well that was the targeted loot for today. Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to subscribe, like, and share if you enjoyed my content. If you would like to become a member for support and exclusive perks, you can click the join button below, and thank you to everyone and all 4 of my members that have joined. I appreciate the extra support. Of course, you can grab Shadow Gaming merch or support me on all tech, but really, if you're still watching this video right now till the end, thank you very much. I work very hard on my content every morning, and I appreciate you guys getting some value out of it. Take care, agents, and be sure to stay tuned for more daily Division 2 content. This is Agent Shadow signing off. I will see you in the next video. Take care, agents.